Before we start, I'd just like to say that if you're expecting this to be unbiased, don't. I'm a Heat fan, deal with it. But the media try to push this series as some rekindling of the rivalry between the Miami Heat and the New York Knicks, especially back in the 90s when the Knicks beat the Heat when they were the first seed and the Knicks were the 8th seed to make the NBA Finals. This shit ain't a rivalry. Ever since the past 30 years, the only teams that can truly compare to the Miami Heat are the Lakers, Warriors, Spurs, and the Bulls, and even then the Bulls were in the earlier part of that 30 years. There's no other team in the NBA that compares to this team. The New York Knicks are definitely not one of them when they've been bottom feeders in the NBA for so long. But the Heat beating the number one seed in the first round, it was a series that many people thought was a toss-up. Yes, the Miami Heat, what they showed against the Milwaukee Bucks, if they were able to bring that into the series, yes, they would win. But the New York Knicks were just able to knock off and bully one of the better teams in the NBA in the Cleveland Cavaliers, making them look less than special. Right now, this series is going to be a dogfight throughout it, and many people expect it to probably go to 6 or 7, with a lot of people choosing the Knicks to win this series. And Game 1 saw what a lot of people thought was going to be this series answered. The Miami Heat were missing their second best scorer and third best player, and the best player to defend Jalen, Brunson, Victor Oladipo, and Tyler Hero. And the New York Knicks were missing their second best player in Julius Randle, who also made All-NBA third team, just like to point that out for a second. And this game was a dogfight all the way throughout, swinging back and forth. And at halftime, the only thing keeping the Heat in the game was the fact that they made 3 more threes than the New York Knicks, even though they were both shooting awful. The Miami Heat were shooting 38% from the field, the Knicks were shooting 55%. They just couldn't hit a 3 to save their life. And that came back to bite them in the second half of this game. The Miami Heat tightened up the reins on everything, shooting 47% in the second half, hitting 6 of their 16 three-point attempts, getting 20 free throws, and scoring 58 to the New York Knicks 46 in that second half. But Jimmy Butler's ankle got kicked out right when the Miami Heat were up by 2 points, and the New York Knicks decided to put him in action even though he stayed in the game limping the entire time, only twice, which puzzled a lot of people, and it ultimately ended the Miami Heat with a 108-101 loss. A lot of people wondering why the New York Knicks didn't put Jimmy's in any action, testing to see if that ankle, if he can actually guard. And of course, this led to game 2, where Jimmy Butler was obviously out. He was trying to ramp it up to play, but it just wasn't going to happen. And this is where Julius Randle returned. Let's just say this game didn't really help their fans and a lot of people get any confidence in them. The Miami Heat were missing Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, and Victor Oladipo. 3 of their lead ball handlers, one of their best defenders, and their 2 best scorers. There's no reason why they should be in this game at all. Yet, throughout this game, the Knicks were getting beat by Caleb Martin and Gabe Vincent. Bam Adebayo wasn't even having a great game. They were getting destroyed by the Heat role players. And then it got down into the final minutes of the game, and the Heat go cold a little bit, and a couple calls that were very clearly should have went the Heat's way went the Knicks' way. And many thought if Jimmy Butler is probably in this game, the Miami Heat would probably be up 2-0 right now, and that was answered in Game 3. Jimmy Butler returned for the Miami Heat, and let's just say it made a lot of people way less confident in what the New York Knicks can do in these playoffs. Everything that exemplified the New York Knicks this season, hustle, grit, out-rebounding opponents, and digging out tough games, was completely lost for them. The New York Knicks, outside of Jalen Brunson, just looked like they had no fight. The Miami Heat didn't shoot well this game. The Miami Heat didn't shoot well from 3. Miami Heat didn't really do much well other than out-rebound and out-hustle the New York Knicks and beat them by 19 points. When a team that didn't play well and shot barely over 40% beats you by 19, it shows that there's a very different level of grit here. And for a lot of Heat fans, it felt like this series again should be 3-0. Yet, a lot of people felt like the New York Knicks, if their shooting got a little better and decided to get back to what their identity was, they could still take the series. And getting to game 4, that was a very big possibility. Can the New York Knicks get better and shoot better from the field? And overall, can they actually compete with this Miami Heat team? And that question was answered within the first couple of minutes, where both these teams came out with haymakers. The Miami Heat shooting 12 of 22 from the field, hitting 4 of their 9 threes, and the New York Knicks coming out doing the exact same thing, dropping 12 of their first 20 shots and hitting 3 of their first 7 threes. This looks like it was going to be a gunslinger type of game, but by the time the second quarter came around, it let the people know that this was going to be a grinded out affair. And at halftime, it looked the score of this game was 48-56 in the Miami Heat direction, but the New York Knicks could just hit a couple more shots, maybe get hot from 3. They could truly take this game and actually tie the series 2-2. But again, everything that exemplified what the New York Knicks were about, grit, hustle, or rebounding your opponent, being stronger than them overall, just outwilling them, was not there for this team. Julius Randle looked defeated. This entire team just couldn't get on the boards and really do anything to help Jalen Brunson take down this Heat team, which eventually led to them being down 3-1, and Julius Randle coming out and giving one of the worst quotes ever you want to hear from somebody that's down 3-1.
What have they done, maybe to kind of beat you at your own game almost?
Maybe they wanted more. I don't know.
And with that quote, many people thought the New York Knicks let go of the rope. They weren't in this game anymore. They weren't in this series anymore. There's no way they can come back from this mental collapse. And Game 5, Jalen Brunson entered the call. While the Miami Heat was walking in here with house money, they have just 3 games left in the series to just win 1. The New York Knicks were backed into a corner. They needed to respond. And who else to respond but the best player on this roster, Jalen Brunson. Overall, the entire Knicks team played pretty well, shooting 49% from the field, having their best 3-point shooting game in this series at 38%. And Jalen Brunson had an absolute masterful performance, 38 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, which saw the New York Knicks go up by double digits at one point in this game. But later, the Miami were able to close the gap to the point where it was a 1-point game. But the Heat go cold late, and the New York Knicks continue to perform, and this put this game out of reach, and it made this series interesting. Can the New York Knicks reproduce this type of effort again in Miami to bring this back to a Game 7 in MSG? Definitely seems like they finally found their mojo again. Coming down to Miami for a Game 6, it looked like early on that Jalen Brunson was ready to bring this team home. They came out to an early 17-point lead in the first quarter. Many people probably thought the Miami Heat team were done. Scott Foster was having another masterclass reffing performance. Miami Heat were getting hacked, and the Knicks couldn't get breathed down without getting a foul called. This game looked like it was going to be out of reach, especially with RJ Barrett having 8 free throws before the first quarter was even done. But the Miami Heat, especially Bam Adebayo, fought back, and the Knicks made some questionable matchup and lineup decisions, taking out Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson, hoping to get them a little bit more rest, and having a lineup of McBride, Obi Toppin, Hartenstein, and I can't even remember who else. Just know it was a horrific lineup that let the Miami Heat come back in this game. And at halftime, this was a 1-point game. This series was definitely up for grabs. If the New York Knicks won this game, the Miami Heat were going back to a hostile environment and may not be able to respond. Jimmy Butler didn't look like himself, really. That ankle may have been bothering him a little too much. But in that second half, the Miami Heat did respond. And down the stretch, it was Kyle Lowry, it was Duncan Robinson, it was Max Strus, all the role players that answered the call. Kyle Lowry with some amazing moves, a floater over his head over Mitchell Robinson, up and under in the lane. Max Strus hitting timely threes. Jimmy Butler banking in jump shots and hitting timely jumpers. Bam Adebayo going towards the rim, grabbing every single rebound in his vicinity. It was just masterful. But Jalen Brunson had an answer for everything the Miami Heat threw at him. 41 points in this game, and truly tried to drag the Knicks all the way to the promised land. But this game was out of reach. A 6-point game with 59 seconds left. And then a flagrant one happened. Dave Vincent elbows Jalen Brunson trying to get the ball on an inbound, which leads to a flagrant one, and the New York Knicks now are only down 4. And then with a drive and a miscue, Josh Hart layup, they're only down 2. Coming down, Jimmy Butler misses a jumper, and they have a chance to take this lead. Jalen Brunson drives the traffic, sees Josh Hart at the top, doesn't pass it to him. Now here exemplifies the entire game. Jalen Brunson at this point had 39 points. Nothing else he could do this game. He didn't trust anybody else on this court, and I truly thought he looked at Josh Hart and just didn't trust him to hit that shot. And he was hoping that at least an easy shot as a layup could go in, tries to force the pass, and it's a steal by the Miami Heat. Season's over. Try to drop a play in the corner for Quentin Grimes, airballs the damn corner 3. Overall, this series was exemplary performance by the Miami Heat. Should have been a sweep, should have been 4-0, ended 4-2. And it just shows that the Miami Heat are not a team you should be trifled with, and that exemplary form of basketball where it's just always grinded out, always willing your team to win. The Knicks don't have it like the Heat do. And the Heat are now in their 3rd conference finals the past 4 years. Eric Spoelstra having a masterful coaching playoff. Jimmy Butler continues his amazing playoff run, and this Miami Heat team looking like they could give anybody a run for their money in this Eastern Conference. But that's the story of the New York Knicks versus the Miami Heat. It was an amazing series for the Miami Heat and a horrible one for the New York Knicks outside of Jalen Brunson. It shows that maybe it's time to move on from Julius Randle and RJ Barrett. While he did have a horrible Game 6, there's a couple of games in this series where he really did help this team and really performed for them. and he may be coming into his own, maybe being a full second option next to Jalen Brunson instead of second fiddle or third fiddle behind Julius Randle would probably help him. But they also need to figure out their shooting problem. Josh Hart and Quentin Grimes are not the guys that you expect them to be as shooters, and you may need to finally look to surround this team with true pieces. And the Knicks are in a position to do that. They have a load of picks in the next coming couple of drafts. They have a load of cap space, and Julius Randle, while sucking, probably still holds a little bit of trade value here and there. So the Knicks are in a good position, while the Miami Heat right now are looking to truly make a push to finally, only the second 8th seed to make the NBA Finals, I think, with the Knicks being the last one. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below this video. I'll probably do another one for the next upcoming series. But that being said, this is FLB. That's my time, and I'm out.